Good morning, friends. Here we are in the Max Theater template for lighting. It's basically the same template, but it has no set in it anymore. I think I made a couple of tweaks, but it's basically the same template as our previous Campo Maldito assignment. So here we are. You will see a light plot layer and a lighting positions layer. These are our friends. Let's keep those turned on. If you want to, you can dim your seating just so that your light plot is more clear. And what we're going to do today is create a basic rep plot for this space, right? And in order to do that, I want to see at least 9 acting areas in this thrust space and a 3-point wash to cover those areas. So the simplest way to go about that is going to be a light from each seating section, and we're going to talk through how to achieve that using Vectorworks tools. So by double clicking on the stack of pages, you can open this up and see in the drawing organization the way that these layers are set up. You'll notice that both the light plot and the lighting positions should be at an elevation of 15 feet, and that's because that's how high the grid is. This will allow you, when you're drawing your lighting instruments, they will automatically come in at the correct height if they're on this layer, because it's got that 15-foot elevation. So that's a 3D trick that we're going to do. We do want to add one more layer, and that is going to be for focus points. And that design layer will sit at 5 feet instead, right? Which is a standard focus point height. And then you can change up the stacking order, right? So you can stack it below your other 2 lighting position heights, okay? So that's where I would start. I would go ahead into drawing organization, make sure you're at 15 feet for both of those grid heights, and then put your focus points at 5. Okay, great. So now let's go ahead and set up our acting areas. This is the mini lighting design, in case you don't remember this or it's been a minute. Let's go ahead and set up our acting areas here in this focus points, and then we'll come back in and use the lighting tool, the lighting symbols, to actually drop lights in, to drop fixtures in. So I'm now active with my focus points layer, and I'm going to go into the lighting tools right here. And this option is your focus point tool, okay? And so that inserts, let's read what it says, inserts a focus point object which is used by a gobo projector and instrument beam calculator for focusing. Yay, okay, great. We can hit this pencil and wrench and change your focus point type if you want, right? So if you want a 5-foot circle or an 8-foot circle, it will draw that for you. Let's just say an 8-foot circle for fun right now. And the default class, you can assign your focus points to a specific class if you want, or you can just leave them wherever. We're just gonna leave them in the active class, which should be none, okay? So we're in the none class, we're drawing focus points on the focus points layer. So I'm just going to start with the center, and it's giving me a random focus point letter, but let's say this would be B because it's in my first row, okay? So then A is gonna be over here. It's gonna really try and help me out, and I am not having it. That will be C, okay? And then up here maybe is D, E, and F, and then G, and it's kind of snapping around H and I. And now that I have these, I'm going to actually adjust their positions. So I'm going to turn off the lighting positions layer for just a second and just line up my focus points to be a little bit more like overlapping acting areas, right? You can use align distribute to really tweak this and get these much more specifically lined up. If you have a little OCD going on, I would suggest that you do that, right? Okay, so I went in, cleaned this up, aligned and distributed, made them all kind of nice and evenly spaced out, my focus points, okay? You're gonna notice if you hit Shift C, and you tip it up. Your little circles are all kind of chilling right around 5 feet, which is head height-ish. It's a little lower than head height, but it gives you a clearer idea if your focus is working. And then you can do Command 5, come back to the top view. Now that we have our focus points set up, you can switch them back to the other focus point shape if you want, which is like a standard hybrid shape. The big circles are helpful if you're a new lighting designer because it gives you a better sense of sort of how your areas are, your acting areas would be. But really on a plot or once you've gotten the hang of it, these are going to be just as clear for you. And they're going to not disrupt the rest of your plot quite so much. Now that we've done that, we're going to turn our lighting positions back on, because if you want to be a light, you have to hang on a pipe, and we're going to make our light plot layer active. All right, so now we're on the light plot layer, looking down at our little land of focus points, and we're going to do lighting device, okay? This is the lighting device tool, which is our friend. And we are going to choose a lighting symbol, okay? There are a few rando symbols. The only one embedded in this file is this source 436 degree. If you would like to use other fixtures, you may. They are all kinds of them available to you in the cloud libraries. I don't know if you'll be able to get cloud libraries at school on the school computers. We're working on that. If not, then let me know and I'll give you some more options. But in the meantime, here are all of your ETC fixture types, right? All of your basic source 4s are here, okay? You can get the most updated one, and it will come in as a 3D object, okay? So I have a older version of the standard source 436 degree fixture already in this file for you, right? Lighting instrument source 436 degrees. That is the appropriate fixture for this space. If you want to try other fixtures and other beam angles, that's a good thing to test out, and we'll look at that a little bit. But for now, just choose or pick up that source 436 degree, okay? And we're going to want to give it about a 10-foot away position in this venue. Again, this is mostly because I've done this before. This space I know pretty well. So it's about 2 grid squares. Each grid square is 5 feet away from your focus point is where you want to hang your fixture. When you plop it down, right, the first click sets the light. The second click sets the angle, points it generally in the top plan view. And so that's how you drop in a light, okay? If you look at it here, it's gonna say the Z height is 0, but because we're on that 15-foot high light plan layer, or light plot layer, it will actually be above the ground at that height. It has a whole bunch of other information and records attached to it. One of those is this automatically assigned position. That comes from the fact that all of these lighting positions are actual hanging pipes in our Vectorworks file template that I've given you. If you want to learn more about how to do that, I'll give you a separate video. But this is sort of the setup is already prepped. I'm going to just drop in these fixtures, okay, for this first row. Okay, so now that would be, as an example, my first system, my first lighting system, okay? Through now the steps to actually focus these fixtures, okay? You want to come in and scroll through all this object info all the way down here, okay, to where it shows this focus, okay? And in that, you can type in whatever your focus point should be for that fixture. When I do that, it will give you a throw distance and a tilt, and all of a sudden the light in 3D is now pointed at that focus point in your plot, okay? The quickest thing to do is to scroll down, I mean, at least in my opinion, is to scroll down and flip through each fixture and just give it the correct focus. If you have multiple fixtures, like if you've done your whole plot, you can select the 3 lights for that area and adjust their focus simultaneously. But I'm just gonna go through and give each of these their focus point, okay? Those are now focused, okay? They've all got their automatic focus built in, right? You can kind of see the difference in throw and tilt and all of that stuff as you go. If you then go in and select them all, which I'm gonna do because I want to turn on their beam angle, you can scroll back up, right? And you can have it draw the beam. So now it is drawing our beam angles. And when we go into our 3D view, we can see how the beams are overlapping at the focus points, and how well this will cover these areas. Okay, does that make sense? If you want to try a different fixture, I mean, this one is the right fixture for this venue, but if you want to try a different fixture, that will update what the beam angle would be in 3D for you. So this basically lets you do all of your photometrics automatically in Vectorworks. Once you've verified that your beams are overlapping appropriately and everything makes sense, right? Then, and you can change things, right? You can have it show at the fall off point, right? Now it's going to keep going all the way below the floor or to the floor, right? You can have it show only at the fall off point or only at the focus point, right? Once you've done all of that sort of figuring it out, right? Then I would turn off that there draw beam because it's going to be annoying and unclear for you. And I would go back in and do my side areas, okay? Right, so I would go ahead and grab a fixture, do one fixture per focus point, per angle, and then I will come back in and talk to you about finishing out all of the paperwork, right? Assigning your instrument numbers, your circuits or channels probably is what you'd really want to see, or your channels, using the basic tools in the label legend, and then turning that into a light plot. So go ahead and get all of your lights in to the plot, and then we'll come back and look at the next steps to turn it into an actual light plot with a whole, thing. Okay? Thanks, friends. See you in a minute.